I made a poll on my closed Facebook group about the video you're about to see, and everyone voted to put it on my channel, but I'm not going to put it onto my main channel because I don't want that channel to be kind of disturbed or have any taint to it, because that channel is doing very, very well. It's monetized. Every video is monetized, and on that channel I am extremely careful. On this one I'm going to take my chances because it's just a second channel, and I'm going to use this channel to see how far I can go with YouTube, the limits I can push, etc. So any strikes I get or any videos I get removed, then it'll just be this channel, and it really doesn't mean anything. So thank you everyone who subscribed. You are part of this great experiment, and thanks to everyone who voted in my Facebook poll. So I'm going to put this video up. This video is the one that everyone was craving to see. It's my mate Lee Williams in New Zealand confronting his online tormentor, Byron Clark. Now, when I say tormentor, I mean tormentor. If you go to Byron Clark's Twitter page, you will see post after post after post slandering Lee Williams as something he is not: a far-right white supremacist, Nazi fascist, all the usual slanderous bullshit that the left come up with. And Lee Williams, in response over the years, he just shot back the odd remark, and that's it. He didn't dedicate time on social media to this Byron Clark fella. Now, I'm a big fan of Byron Clark, not in a good sense. I'm fascinated more than I am, in awe or admiration, because I don't like what the guy does. Because what the guy does is borderline criminal. To hound a guy, have a hand in breaking up his family, getting behind and promoting a petition that got him sacked, promoting a petition to get him kicked out of New Zealand, and making life very, very hard for Lee Williams. And so I followed him on Twitter, I looked on his YouTube page, I even popped onto his Patreon under another guise. And I found the guy fascinating because, like I said, I worked with prisoners, and I worked with, I don't mean this in the good sense either, but high-end prisoners, very intelligent, very narcissistic, sick, dangerous criminals who should never ever be allowed out in public. And Byron Clark shows a lot of these traits. I truly believe the guy to be a sociopath, and he displays a lot of these traits, which are self-righteous, narcissistic, sanctimonious, sententious and holier-than-thou attitudes, and very much feelings and displays of moral superiority on his online work. He's very much a self-absorbed Marxist who is very much up his own arse. And he is using the current situation between him and Lee Williams in order to gain money, financial gain, and to be more popular on Twitter. I have noticed the more followers he has on Twitter, the more emboldened he has become, and a bit more extreme as well, because he has people encouraging him, and I think he likes that. So as prison officers do, we keep in touch when we leave, and I made friends with a few criminal psychologists, barristers, lawyers, etc., governors. As you do, you work with these people and you make friends and you keep in touch. You have the same interests, you go to barbecues, parties, and you keep social with them. And I mentioned Byron Clark to one of these criminal psychologists, or was it forensic psychologist, I can't remember. I'm friends with so many, I'm not bragging here, but it's true. And this lady became fascinated with him as well, and she concurred. She agreed with me that this Byron Clark shows heavy signs of being a sociopath, and indeed having a very unhealthy interest in Lee Williams. Not as unhealthy as his mate up in Napier, which is just far more extreme than Byron Clark. You see, Byron Clark is the type to get other people to do his work for him. That's how smart and clever he is. And there's always a plentiful supply of left-wing extremists out there who will fire the bullet that he loads into the gun, our mate in Napier being one of them. You see, Byron Clark is careful. Napier guy, he isn't so much. But then again, that's the level of hate we're dealing with here. Hate so intense that they're willing to put their faces onto a video and, just show it. So Lee Williams has been having trouble with this Byron Clark now for a while, and he has been instrumental in Lee Williams's life being made extremely hard in New Zealand. Lee Williams came back to the UK for a bit because it got a bit too much, and then he returned. I did ask him, I'm still in touch with the fella, he's a good mate of mine, and I did say to him, well, why are you going back? Well, I've got family down there, I've got to try, and I love New Zealand, I miss the place, my kids are down there. His daughter's just given birth, he's a grandfather, so I understand that, but New Zealand is an extremely woke, progressive, really restrictive and oppressive place now. It is run by people like Byron Clark, Jacinda Ardern. These are the people who run and rule the roost over there. And of course you've got the Maori elites. So if you're an old-fashioned conservative New Zealand white patriot, then it's not really the place for you. And also I just want to note that the cancer of Antifa has mixed in with some of the Maori now, and that's unfortunate to see. And so we came to where we are now, and I think 2-3 weeks ago, Lee Williams was given information of where Byron Clark works. And Lee Williams, being Lee Williams, the man that he is, he turned up there, managed to gain access to where Byron Clark works, and he confronted him. And it was probably the most polite, British, nice confrontation I've ever seen. I doubt many others, being in Lee's position, thanks to Byron Clark, could have been so nice and so kind. But he is lucky that Lee is so mild-mannered. And it's also a testament here against what Byron Clark has claimed Lee Williams to be, a violent, white supremacist, far-right thug. Lee Williams turned up, said to Byron, "Do you mind?" And then he left. He accused Byron Clark of raising money for a Palestinian terror group. And the mistake he did here was he said the PLO. It wasn't the PLO. Information has come our way that Byron Clark was a guest editor for a Marxist magazine called The Spark in New Zealand, a communist magazine back in 2011. And within the pages of that publication, you can see a cutout coupon where you send money to the magazine, and they send you a T-shirt with the logo of the PFPL, a registered terrorist group by the United States government and main European countries as well. And since 2011, the PFPL have gone on to murder several innocent people, men, women and children, for their cause. So you sent money to this publication to buy a T-shirt. This publication said the money raised would be going to the PFPL for resisting what we don't know. And that money went to fund terrorism. And Byron Clark was part of that. You can argue that he helped fundraise money for terrorism. Of course, whether Byron Clark knew this when he was guest editor of this far-left magazine, we don't know. But arguments can be made for it, such as, surely, if you're going to write an article or be guest editor of a magazine, a publication, then you know what that publication's all about. You know what's going to be in that publication. It's publication history, and it's a moral compass, it's political affiliations, etc. So I would wager that he probably knew, because, like I said, he's not stupid. Now, it's interesting to note that what I've just told you and what you've just seen on screen, Byron Clark recently has been on a few podcasts and YouTube channels lauding over the fact that the Proud Boys group, a pro-Trump organisation in the US, has been registered as a terrorist group in New Zealand, of all places. And Byron Clark's happy with this, and it's just ironic, isn't it? And it's interesting, after what he did with Spark magazine and their involvement with a Palestinian terrorist group, that he should lord over this fact. It's hypocrisy at its finest, but that's the left, ladies and gentlemen. That's Marxists. And then Lee Williams left. Byron Clark throws his miniature supervisor between him and Lee Williams. Calls Lee Williams his stalker, which is laughable. After everything Byron Clark has done, he has the bollocks, the front, the brass balls to call Lee Williams a stalker. And then Lee Williams leaves. It's as simple as that. Lee Williams didn't go into his face, didn't invade his personal space, didn't call him names, didn't hit him. There was no aggression there whatsoever. But I bet Byron Clark probably wishes that there was aggression. And then Byron Clark went on to Twitter and he told his followers there what happened to him. Boo-hoo, the guy I've been tormenting for years finally confronted me like a man. Of course, he didn't word it like that. He painted himself as the victim. Of course, anyone decent-minded watching this video, which I'm going to put up on here, by the way, as an experiment to see how far I can get on YouTube. It's completely, it's a funny video. I've watched it quite a few times now. But Byron Clark has used this incident as a means of financial gain and for more subs, etc., and to demonise Lee Williams further. And Lee Williams was good enough to tweet to Byron Clark, asking him out for a coffee. There were several tweets sent to Byron Clark, and there was nothing even vaguely threatening, but Byron Clark ignored 4 of them and then screenshot one of them, where he deliberately misconstrues it as a violent threat against Byron Clark. So he got more sympathy. He fished for sympathy from his Twitter well of sheepfish, and they all took the bait. And they hate Lee Williams even more now. They believe Byron Clark for being the victim. And that poor Byron Clark didn't deserve this accosting at his workplace, where someone like me, anyone who knows the history between these two, who knows the facts here, know that it is, in essence, or in a nutshell, a man whose life has been made hell by this hairy Marxist, this cowardly man, for years, finally confronting him like the man he is. And Byron Clark just shitting his pants and throwing a small person between him and Lee Williams in an effort to protect himself, and calling him a stalker and getting a restraining order against Lee Williams at his workplace. And that's it. That's how real men dealt with the enemy, or their tormentors, or people, online bullies, trolls, if you find out who they are. That's how real men do it. And if you don't like real men turning up at your door to confront you, question you, what the hell are you doing this to me? Then don't do videos about them. So anyway, here's the video. It's funny. Watch it as many times as you like. Listen carefully to what Byron Clark says while he's on the phone, when he's talking to his supervisor, when he's throwing his little supervisor friend between him and Lee Williams, even though Lee Williams isn't aggressive at all. And just watch his expression, all right? This is a guy finally confronted for being an online bully and really reaping what he sowed a few years ago. Also, I am glad Lee Williams didn't use violence. Violence doesn't really solve anything. I am just glad he turned up and he was courteous and he did what he did, really well. It didn't give Byron Clark anything to tug on, to use, basically, and for even more financial gain and to get even more negativity towards Lee Williams. So it went well for Lee, I think. But anyway, see what you think. Do you agree with me? Do you think Lee did the right thing in confronting this online monster, this guy who gets businesses and people shut down, cancelled because he doesn't like how they think? And he is literally another Leanne Wood. Leanne Wood is a Plaid Cymru, far-left politician who has called literally everyone she disagrees with as Nazis. And this is what Byron Clark does. He calls everyone a far-right white supremacist. Anyway, enjoy, and catch you later.
Hey Byron, how's it going, mate?
Excuse me, I'll just put you on hold for a second.
I hope you don't mind.
I do mind.
Well,
Please leave.
I've just come to film
Leave.
you.
You are not welcome
Yeah.
here to film me.
Well, I'm filming you right now, boy.
That's right, it's a stalker.
I'm filming you right now. You hassle me all the time.
Sir, you must leave now.
This is Byron Clark, the coward.
Sir, if we could
Far
please ask
leftist.
I'm going to call the police.
Supporting
If we could please have
Palestinian Liberation Organisation.
Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave the building.
I'm
Yeah,
going, but
thank you.
I'm going. Byron Clark,
Please
look
not return or we will call the police. Thank you.
I'm going, but I'm good. Got him. Byron Clark. I know where he lives, know where he works anyway.
You're all on camera.
Yeah, whatever. Whatever. Done what I need to do.